Hey guys, welcome back once more to the next episode, Project Pilsen. Just a quick recap of the training this week, in case you guys wanted to see the footage. I worked up to, Dylan just filmed it. I worked up to 340 kilo squat on Monday. That's, I think, about 5 kilos shy of my best ever. I was called for depth on that squat at Nationals, so I don't know whether you want to count that or not, but the 340 was getting very, very close, if not to depth. I was really happy about how it moved, so that felt great. That same day, it worked up to my raw single on my bench press, competition pause bench, and honestly, it was a little bit sluggish. I wasn't super happy with how it moved. It felt slow. It felt like I should have been able to go up to about 170 that day, but after taking 160, decided 165 was the right route, and it was about an 8.5, so I think that was the right way to go. Slingshot bench was 185, and then moving on, pulled 345 raw for my raw single. Again, that was pretty whatever. It didn't feel good, didn't feel bad, but it was about what it should have been. The equipped bench this week, however, was an absolute train wreck. I'm not sure if my shirt is starting to loosen up because of the cut. I'm not sure if I maybe had it oriented a little bit differently. One of the things that you can do when you're in a bench shirt to make it a little bit more aggressive, to get a little bit more carryover, is to rotate the sleeves inwards this way. So the logos are going to be more in towards on your biceps. The other thing people do is they'll jack down the collar of the shirt. So it could be that on this day, my shirt was just a little bit, the sleeves were a little bit out, the collar was a little bit high. I didn't think so, but it was definitely way too easy to touch lighter weights. And by the time I got up to the heavy weights, I took 225. I took that the first time and I missed it, which sucked. I took it a second time and it was an absolute all-out 10.5 RPE grinder. So I dropped it down to 220, which I had hit 222 the week before, which was very easy. And 220 was also an absolute all-out 10.5 RPE grinder. So I'm hoping that as I continue the cut, I've got a couple of shirt options, as well as I can start, torquing the shirt or, kind of jacking the shirt up a little bit to try and get a little bit more out of it as my body weight descends. Outside of that, my raw squat right after that bench press went really, really well. I had zero pain. I didn't get pitched forward. It felt really smooth. It felt like a good, solid 8 RPE. So I was super, super happy with that. It was only 267.5 kilos, but for me, that's, again, it's about sort of slowly climbing that ladder and getting back to the point where I was, I think my best squatting feat ever would be a mix-up between 275 kilos for a set of 5 that I did, that and the 315 kilos that I did in competition at Nationals 2 years ago. So I'm a far cry from that, but my raw squat is coming back and it doesn't hurt and I can train it and get the volume in and it feels really good. The other really great thing that I'm really happy about that I did this weekend was I came in and I did my equipped deadlift session. Now that session, everything just clicked. Everything was feeling incredible. My plan was to work up to 375. I had pulled 367 when I was traveling there. So I planned to work up to 375. I took 375 and it was just a rocket. It felt super, super good. So I thought, okay, my best ever with straps and a deadlift bar raw was 380. So I was like, okay, well, I'll put these little chippers on there. And I took 381 and that again just flew. So I looked up what the world record was and it's currently 387.5 kilos by a guy from Luxembourg named Annabelle Coimbra. So I took a shot at that. I went 388 and it moved. It was definitely in 10. My fingers got a little torn up because it was pretty close to slipping out. It was a really tough lockout. I think, I stopped shy of lockout and then really had to kind of inch my way through to get my shoulders pulled through, but I definitely got it and I'm very happy with that. So I think that's a pretty good indicator of things to come. I did my equipped squat today. You guys will have to wait till next week to see that, but it was great. Our question of the day today comes from Instagram, and actually if you guys have questions of the day that you want to get to me, feel free to DM them to me on Instagram. This one comes from Cody. And he says he's been working into his metal pro briefs on his heavy squat day every 3 to 4 weeks for overload. And he's thinking about getting into equipped lifting. He's wondering if I would recommend the same kind of programming or whether I would try to work in the equipment a little more frequently. So personally, I might be a little bit biased, but I would say you want to be in the equipment as often as you can. Now, some people, that's going to be every 2 weeks, but I would recommend trying, at least at first, every week, trying to get into your equipment every week. It's definitely a very skills-based thing, especially when you're first starting, so it helps to have that consistent reinforcement. I don't think you can drive the frequency of equipped lifting up much beyond 1 time per week, because 1 time per week is fairly frequent for equipped lifting. Any more than that, it's not like you can bench in your shirt 4 days a week. So I would say once a week if you can, and if not, once every other week would be a good time to get into your equipment. Just because it's a very different groove, it's going to take some time to get used to the equipment. If it's new equipment, you're going to have to break it in a little bit. And you're also just going to have to get strong in the strength curve of the suit. You're going to have to get very strong in the top end of your lifts. So the more frequently you can practice the skill, the better. But it just depends on how much you can handle and how well you can recover from those sessions. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to remind everybody, little shameless plug here, but everything on our Calgary Barbell store is 25% off right now. We're clearing it out, so go check it out. If we have anything left in your size, feel free to pick that up. 25% off is substantial, so it helps us out a lot, and we're gonna get some fall stuff out for you guys right away. Hopefully we'll get you some previews of those kinds of things coming up very soon. But thanks again for tuning in to Project Pilsen, and we will see you guys next week. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff.